Hello and welcome to an attorney marketing webinar, How to Use Google Local to Attract New Clients. My name is Shane Quiros. I'm the SEO manager here at James Publishing and Attorney Marketing. If you have any questions during the webinar, you can tweet at James Publishing, #JamesWebinar. We'll be live tweeting throughout the show. Or you can ask the questions directly in the GoToWebinar chat function. We'll be answering those questions as well. All right, let's get started. So here's an overview of what I'm going to be talking about today. What does Google want? What is Google Local? Those are a couple of questions that will give us a good basis for the rest of the webinar. And then moving on to Google Local Optimization, basically what you can do to get on that first page using your Google Local profile. And then Google Local is here to stay. I'm going to talk about how Google Local is actually kind of expanding. It's not going away anytime soon. And at the end, we'll have a live Q&A with our president, Travis Heiss, so stick around for that. So firstly, what does Google want? Well, they want to give users exactly what they want. And why? It's a positive experience for the user. So what does that mean? That means that Google is in the business of providing answers to queries. So when people search things in Google into their Google search function, Google is in the business of getting users exactly what they want, making the users happy. Obviously, this brings the users back time and time again, and it's actually very effective, or at least Google is very effective at doing it. They're obviously the #1 search engine, and everybody knows their name. As a matter of fact, it's kind of interesting how the word Google itself has kind of become a verb for meaning kind of like, well, why don't you go Google that? Just kind of get the correct information, or, if you're looking for some answers, why don't you just Google it? So, that Google's good at what they do, so we kind of got to play by the rules just because, of their expertise and how many people are using Google. So this kind of question is, what does Google want, is going to be coming up a couple times throughout the webinar, just to kind of give you a context of why we're doing the things we're going to be doing. So moving on, what is Google Local? So Google Local is a business directory, and there's tons of those on the internet, but this one's a little different because it's actually Google's business directory. And Google has tons of people using it, so anything that they do is important, and their business directory is no different. But also it's integrated with Google Maps, which kind of just legitimizes any of the business directories or any of the business listings on their directory is kind of legitimized because there's a pin on a map somewhere that you can look at the map and you can tell that, hey, this is a local business. It's actually located here. So, it kind of just legitimizes the whole business directory that they have going for them. And it's actually user-friendly. People like searching on Google Maps, and if they find a business through there, that's great. And they'll be very likely to call or contact. And also, so the business listings are also displayed in the search results for certain queries. So that's what we're going to be talking about. How do you get your business listing to show up in the search results for certain queries? And in general overview of this business listings in the search results, the Google Local results, they're separate from the organic results. So normally when you search something in Google, you just kind of get a list of very samey looking websites with just a short description under the link to the website. But the local results, as you see a little bit below here, it's kind of different. It's got the link to the website, but it also has reviews. It has a link to the profile page. And it also has address and phone number. And that's really important. It helps stand out from the rest of the results. And actually, most importantly, it's always on the first page. So there's usually a pack of maybe 3 to 7 to 8 of these listings on the first page for certain queries. So that's what makes it so valuable. And then finally, there's a distinct placement algorithm. So what I mean by that is basically how you get listed on this first page in these listings is different than how you get listed in the organic results in Google or any other search engine. So it's kind of a distinct algorithm that they use, and we try to take advantage of to get our listings placed on the first page. So moving on, why was Google Local created? Well, Google found through its years and years of existence and how many people have been using it to search that people often search for the services of a local business, and when they do, they want the contact information immediately provided. What they found is people really wanted to just be able to call businesses right away from that search results page. It's just one less click. So when somebody searches for, a local service, they can just immediately call the number that they see on that results page, and that's what Google Local provides as far as its integration into the search results. And it also makes the businesses and the websites seem more legitimate to the user. Because like I said before, you see a business and its information, and then you see it on a map somewhere, and it just kind of legitimizes the whole thing. And the fact that it's on the first page, the fact that it has Google's trust and it has the address and the phone number right there, It just makes everything seem a little bit more legitimate, and studies have shown that people, when the local listings are there in the search results, they tend to click on those websites or call those numbers more often than not, or more often than when they aren't there. So it's actually working out for Google, and it's actually working out for the businesses that are able to be listed up there. So then you ask the question, like I said before, is what does Google want? Well, they want people to have positive experiences, and it's a positive experience if somebody searches for something and has access quickly and easily to the contact information. So they're looking for a local service, and then bam, right there, without even having to click another page, they have a list of businesses in their area that they can contact quickly and easily. So, I mean, that's why Google Local was created. So how can you use Google Local to acquire new customers? Well, it's pretty simple. You want to become the king of the hill of your area in Google Local, in your practice area and in your geographic area. And if you're at the top of those Google listings or on that first page of Google listings, you're in great shape to get new clients onto your website, calling you at that phone number. And it's just, that's how this is going to benefit you. So we're going to talk about what we like to call Google Local Optimization. Basically what it takes to get your listing on the first page, what it takes to get your local profile, your business directory listed on that first page so people can call it, people can visit the website very easily, very efficiently. To do that, I kind of want to talk about the anatomy of the results page to kind of inform the rest of the webinar. So here I searched for a plumber in Los Angeles, and this is what I got. So at the top, you see, well, actually, I'll talk back to that in a little bit. But here in the green box, this is the Google local listings. So all I did was type in plumber from the location of Los Angeles, and all these listings came up for local plumbers in Los Angeles with all their contact information right there. And it's prominent on the first page, stands out from the rest of the results. And there's actually a map on the top right showing exactly where each of those pins is located. And just a sidebar here, if you notice on that map in the top right, all those other little red dots that aren't standing out with a letter, those are other plumbers or related businesses in the area that aren't showing up on that first page. So, I mean, Los Angeles obviously is a very competitive market. So how did these people end up on the first page of Google for plumber is what we're going to be getting into now. So here you see these are actually links to the website. They work exactly like the other list or the normal results in a Google search. You click the name there and it brings you to the website associated with the local profile. But for our purposes, we're going to be looking at the Google Plus local profile specifically. And how do you get to that from the results page? Well, you click the Google Plus page right there. All those have a link to their local profile pages. And when you click that, you get to a page that looks like this. So here is a example of a Google local profile. So I clicked one of those plumber links and it brought me to this. And this is kind of a good-looking business directory. They had some images. They have all their information on the top left there. They have contact information on the left there. They have some reviews down below, some people who have followed them down below as well. And all this is good and well, but the question is, how do you create this local profile? Because these people had to go and create it using their name and their address and all that. Well, it's really simple, actually. Google has made it really easy because obviously it'll help them to have literally every business in America. If they could have a database of that, they would love to have that. So what they did is made it really easy for you to add yourself to that directory. So what you're going to do is go to google.com/business if you don't already have access to your Google local profile. And then you can just click Get on Google, and it'll bring you to a map of the USA or the United States, and it'll just ask you to provide address and name of business. And you'll provide that to them, and they'll start you on your way to create your Google local profile. And at the end of which, they're going to send you a postcard from Google to the address that you provide. And that's just so they can legitimize that you're not just creating a random account for a random address. You're an actual legit business that gets mailed to this address. And on that postcard is going to be a PIN number, and you'll be entering that in the back end, and it'll verify your business. We'll get to that a little bit later, but that's actually really important. So it's important when you create your business to use the correct name and the correct address. So you can get that postcard and everything else can work out perfectly. So next is the ranking factors. So these are the things that Google takes into account when placing listings on the first page. So here we're back at that local profile, and what we would kind of want to take a look at is the top left there with the name, the address, the phone number, and also the website and a couple other pieces of information. So these are the factors on the profile itself. These are the ranking factors on the profile itself that you can directly affect, how well you do in the search results as far as Google Local is concerned. So the number one thing there, this isn't in any particular like priority order or ranking factor effectiveness order. This is kind of just the things you can do on your profile. So verified business. So that goes back to what I was talking about with the postcard. You'll have a postcard sent to your business with the PIN number, and once you enter that PIN number in the back end of your local listing, you'll get this little shield with a check mark. And this lets everybody know and lets Google know that you have a verified business. And like I said before, if we're thinking about what Google wants people to find legit businesses. Wants users to find people that they can actually call and get the correct person on the other line. So this is just another way of verifying that, and Google enjoys that, obviously, so you'll have priority over people who haven't verified their business if you do verify your business, for sure. Next there in the orange box is the name, address, and phone number of your business and in the business listing. And this is more important than it may seem. So in the world of Google Local optimization, this is going to be your benchmark for everywhere on the internet where you add your name, phone number, and address. This is the benchmark. They all have to equal to this. They all have to be equivalent as far as the spelling, the way everything is laid out, or not laid out, but to make sure that the name is exactly the same, the address is exactly the same, and the phone number is exactly the same. Anywhere else that you put this information on the internet should be equal to the Google Local profile, I guess is what I'm saying. So like I said, this is the benchmark of every other place you want to create profiles on the internet. So this is very important. I'll talk a lot more about this later, name, address, and phone number, but just note this down when you create your profile. And then next on the local profile is the category. So this is kind of an innocuous little addition to the profile, but it actually is very important to showing up on those results page. If you have the incorrect category, if you have too many widely dispersed categories, then you're in a little bit of trouble. So there'll be a place in the back end of the local profile for your primary category of what your business does. So you're going to want to pick that and make it as close to what your primary practice area is as possible. Google has a set amount of database of categories, so you can't type in whatever you want, but you can find, and they've done a decent job of this, of providing a pretty good amount of practice areas in the legal field for lawyers. So there's personal injury lawyer you can choose from, or anything like that. A criminal justice attorney. So you got to search for and choose the closest one related to your main practice area. And if you have secondary or tertiary practice areas, you can add those as well. But you just want to make sure that you don't want to spread yourself too thin in Google's eyes, because, like I said, Google is in the business of getting people what they want. And if they're more precise about what you do exactly, you have priority over people who are probably spreading themselves a little too thin, at least in Google Local. So that's important. So that's the profile, and those are the things you can take advantage of when you create your profile. Next, we'll be talking about citations. So you might have heard about this before if you read about Google Local and Google Local optimization. Citations. So what are citations? They're basically wherever the name, address, and phone number of your Google Local profile appears on the internet. And notice I said the Google Local profile, because whatever is tied, because that's what's showing up in Google, that's what Google considers as the number one source of information. So every time you list your name, address, and phone number anywhere on the internet, it's considered a citation. And basically, Google wants to know that your name, address, and phone number are backed up by other sources. So they feel more strong about your business being an actual business. And obviously, like I said, they don't want people calling up to businesses that aren't who they say they are, or phone numbers that aren't actually going to the right place, or websites that aren't actually what they say they are. So that's a citation, and that's why it affects the Google Local rankings, because The more of those you have on the internet, the more legitimate your business seems, and the happier Google is to put you up there and have customers find you. So, and Google weighs certain websites heavier than others in terms of where you have your name, address, phone number, or your NAP. So they kind of weigh certain websites heavier than others. Obviously, if you just create a random website with no authority and you put your name, address, and phone number up there, it's not as useful as having your name, address, and phone number up on maybe yellowpages.com or yelp.com like I have down below. And actually, that brings me to my next point is what they like the most is structured citations / listings. So what that means is services that are very similar to business directories. So you create an account, or maybe you just provide the name, address, and phone number, and it creates a listing for you. Google takes that into account pretty well. So Yelp, Yellow Pages, Newstar, specifically maybe there's specific attorney directories that you can submit your information to, such as hd.org, NOLO. There's plenty of them. You can just kind of search it, or you could Google it and find, lawyer directories that you can add your information to, as long as you make sure it's perfectly consistent. Brings me to my next point, quantity of citations. So what will set you apart from the other people on the Google local landscape? What's going to put you on that first page over them? It's going to be this quantity of citations. So you just keep creating citations on these listings on other websites that have the name, address, and phone number of your local profile, and it just makes your local profile look more legitimate, like I said, and Google will be more than happy to have clients find you that way. Now, as I keep harping on, consistency in the name, address, and phone number is very important. Google does not want users to call an incorrect number or visit an incorrect address. So many inconsistencies will make Google uncertain, leads to no front page. So making Google certain of who you are and what you do in your business is a very important and good thing you want to do. So having, several listings that have a different address or a different phone number, then Google's not exactly sure compared to people who have completely consistent profiles. So you want to be as consistent as possible. And just a side note, you want to include a suite number when applicable. So I know as for attorneys, a lot of attorneys work in suites in larger buildings, larger office buildings. And it's important that if you do work in a suite that you include it in your Google local profile and everywhere else you put it on the internet, because obviously it makes Google more certain of where exactly you are. And if other people say you work from a building that has several suites, but you don't put you don't put the suite number in your local profile or the other citations that you create, well, if another business does the same exact thing, then it has two businesses trying to rank for the same address, and neither of you are going to rank at that point. So just a side note, include suite numbers when applicable. Map management. So it's kind of obvious but not obvious so you create a large quantity, like I said, of citations. What happens when you change your address, change your phone number, change your firm or practice name? Well, you got to go back and kind of, change all of those citations that you created as well. And it kind of creates a problem because if you do create a lot of citations, it's going to be hard to go back and change every single one of them to be consistent. So map management is kind of a problem, but it's something that you can overcome, obviously, if you make sure that you are aware of every citation that's created for your profile. Keep a good list of them. Keep a good list of logins for all the websites that you create a citation for. Keep that on hand. Keep it handy. So if you ever do have to change any of those things in the NAP, you can easily change it back. Okay, next ranking factor, website strength. So if you noticed, if you're savvy enough or had a good enough eye, you might have noticed that in that plumber example, the business that's ranking number one in the local results is also ranking number one, as far as not ranking number one, but is the first business you'll find in the organic results as well. Even above this local results is a Wikipedia article, and I think I cut it off, but it was a Yelp category for plumbers in Los Angeles. So the first actual business is this Ritz Plumbing, which is also the first in the local results. And the question is, are they first in the local results because they're so strong in the organic results? That's kind of up in the air, but what people have come to a consensus is that how strong your website is kind of does affect where you end up on the local results, but it's not as big of a factor as the citations, as the local profile optimization itself. As a matter of fact, there are cases of businesses ranking local results but without a website at all. They actually don't have a website that the local result links back to. It's just the local profile. So it's not everything, but it's a kind of important feature that you could take a look at. So going on that idea, it's important to, when you link, because when you create a local profile, you'll be likely linking your website to it. If you don't have a website, I would suggest making one to link to this local profile. It'll help out in every way imaginable, but also it'll help Google have a better idea, be more certain about your business. Like I said, what do they want? People to find legitimate businesses. So if the website that you link to your local profile is consistent with what's on the local listing, then it has it has like a source, or your website vouches for your local profile. So if you have a strong website, it vouches even more for your local profile. But what's the most important thing is that the website and the local profile are about the same things, or have the same subject, or are both about, personal injury attorneys in San Diego or something like that. So if they are both consistent like that, then Google will be more than happy, like I said, to rank you on that first page. And then another thing as far as website strength goes is the amount and quality of links to that website. So that kind of falls into normal SEO territory. That's how you get websites ranked well in Google normally, is build a whole bunch of links and high quality links to your websites. But it turns out building all those links to your websites is also helping any Google local profile that is tied to those websites. It's kind of a minor ranking factor, but it's something worth noting. And also very important, more important than the links, is having the name, address, phone number on the website be equal to the name, address, phone number on the local listing. As a matter of fact, we've had a client where their local listing had a name, address, and phone number, and then their website actually didn't have the city or the address anywhere on the website. And as soon as we added that address on the website, upshot the local listings. So it's very important. Obviously makes Google more certain. Name of the game, make Google more certain about your business. So here we go on to reviews. This is kind of surprising, but reviews aren't actually that important as far as ranking on the Google local results. They do have a little bit of a ranking factor, and I'll talk about that now, is the quantity of reviews on a Google page. Based on research, people found that that's, as far as anything regarding ranking factors and reviews, the only thing that really matters is that you have at least a couple or maybe a lot of reviews on a Google local page. That moves you up a little bit, moves you down a little bit if you don't, but it's not very important. What is important is that you don't want to overdo it. If you have like 100 reviews within a week, it kind of looks a little shady, or maybe 100 reviews within a couple of days looks a little bad, and it's possible to get penalized a little bit, or knocked down a little bit if Google thinks you're artificially getting these reviews. So you can't overdo it, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. Just don't, buy reviews or something crazy like that. But the real benefit to reviews are the click-through rates. I should say. So I don't know about you, but for me, if I were to search for a plumber like this in Los Angeles and I saw these exact results, I would likely click on that Newton Plumbing. It has 22 Google reviews at 4.3 stars. I mean, it's ranked lower than Ritz Plumbing, but for me, I see those stars, I see the Google reviews and the quantity of them, and it makes me kind of want to click the Newton Plumbing more than the other. And I feel like that's the way that most people look at these kind of results. So it's actually a fairly big factor, not in the ranking, but in the effectiveness of being on that first page of Google. So obviously, I would suggest that any client you have them review you on Google Local. It is very important. If you have a lot of good reviews, you're going to be the one getting clicked more than the others in your pack of local results. So that is the main benefit, not really ranking, but the click-through. And also, as far as ranking goes, a very small factor is third-party reviews. So if you get a review on Yelp, or if you get a whole bunch of reviews on Yelp, it does kind of boost where you end up on the search results page a little bit, but it's not something to take too much consideration into. Okay, so finally, how Google Local is here to stay. So basically, it's not going away anytime soon. As a matter of fact, they're expanding local results into more searches. So it started off as an experiment. Only major cities and major services have local results, and now it's really hard to find any or search for any service in your local area and not see local search results in the first page. So it seems like every day they're expanding what searches get local results. So it's definitely here to stay. Secondly, there is a new interface. So when you create your local profile, you'll notice there'll be a back-end interface that Google provides. And they just recently updated it to, it's called now My Business. And it's a lot more user-friendly than it used to be, and it makes it a lot more clear what you're actually doing. Before this new My Business interface, it was kind of ambiguous as to what the difference was between Google Plus and Google Plus Local. So now what they attempted to do is make it more easy and more obvious. So once you create your listing, you'll be able to see that, and it makes it easier for you to do yourself. And it's just it's good development for the local businesses. And then finally, Google recent developments in Google Maps is that they're getting more specific with neighborhoods. So on this picture on the right is actually a picture of the city that we're from in James Publishing, is Costa Mesa in California. But if you notice, it's actually a small section of Costa Mesa that's showing up in Google, and everything in purple, in that purple outline, that's usually denoted to surround cities and tell you what city you're looking at. But here it's actually telling you a smaller part of the city, a smaller neighborhood of the city. And this kind of just an early indication of where Google Local is likely to move next. It's not something that you need to worry about or need to think about right now, but maybe down the line, it's just a good indication that Google Local is here to stay, and it's very much worth pursuing, optimization in that and getting customers through that. So my ending message is help Google help you. So make Google very certain of who you are and what your business is, and they'll help you by putting you on the first page and getting you clients, or getting you clients, but people will be searching for those search terms, and you'll be there because they know what you are, and you are the answer to a lot of potential clients' searches. So help Google help you become the king of the Google Local Hill. So I would suggest starting your Google Local campaign today. If you haven't created a local profile, definitely do that immediately. Create one, have it verified, have that postcard sent to you, and you'll be in great shape. You can start building citations if you want. You can hire other people to build you citations. There's plenty of things you can do with it, but you definitely want to have a local presence. And the way searches are going nowadays, it's almost crucial to have a local profile and a local presence. So I hope that some of the information I gave you here today is actionable, and that it can help you, attract the new clients that you want and the local clients. So thank you very much for listening to me today. If you want to contact James Publishing, I have some